right, in today's video, finally giving you guys what you wanted is some projects on the truck. So it's gonna start just a couple of little updates. One of those is that I did have to raise up the engine. The mounts that I got, technically not for a four-wheel drive. They're just kind of generic swap brackets. So I had to raise those up. Essentially the angle's a little bit wrong, and makes it to where it's very close. In one of my shorts, I showed kind of, it was hard to tell if it was actually touching the frame or not. It was that close. So I just tried to adjust the mounts up on the sliders as much as I could. And then I also put some little washers that I got at Ace underneath the mounts. So just a like 1/8 inch hardened steel washer. That worked out pretty good. Gave me a little bit of extra clearance for that. It's really just like a little molding piece of the block, so I'm not too worried about it. Probably gonna get a little file or something in there and just take the corner off, just give myself a little bit extra room. But from there, the next bit is really doing a modification. A lot of people with this swap, I still have the 3-speed, the old, I think it's a turbo 350, I haven't confirmed that, but it is a 3-speed automatic transmission. So a lot of people run no dust cover on this swap because the factory dust cover doesn't actually quite fit. But I really don't like the way that looks with the torque converter just open to the world. So I'm modifying the factory dust cover. They make some sheet metal ones that I could buy, but I don't really feel like doing that. So I need to modify the one that I have. I've already done some modification to it, but I realized that the starter doesn't fit with that dust cover on. So I need to pull it back off, do some trimming where the starter goes so the starter can fit up in there, and then put it back on. So that's gonna be the project hopefully for this evening. So that's what we got, but I'll show you some clips of the engine being raised, where it sits now, and then kind of get into the project. Here's where the engine sits now. So this was the point of contention, was kind of down here. So this corner that is out of focus right there was literally like touching this part of the frame. I mean, it was so close. Let's see if I can focus in a little bit better. But now that you can see, there's at least some room over there, which is good. But yeah, I kind of snuck, I'll show you over here too, the little washers that I popped in. I just lifted each side of the motor up and then I put those washers in right underneath here. Now, is this the perfect situation? Well, no, probably not. Eventually I'll probably get different brackets if the motor has to come out or something like that in the future. I'll probably just get a different, four-wheel drive specific mount bracket. But for what I'm doing right now, this will be fine. And yeah, I'll show you guys the dust cover situation. All right, here is the dust cover, as aforementioned. I got it to fit. I had to trim up in this area because the collar of the dust cover was like bulged out. I'll show you the piece I cut off. And then it was really tight right here up against the transmission pan. So I may do some trimming there too, to just make it a little bit easier to fit. But the real problem is right here, where the starter is supposed to go. It doesn't fit inside that hole at all, where it's supposed to bolt on. So I really basically just need to trim all of this off. So that's what we're gonna work on. is the nugget in question. So essentially this little notch on the left side is where this small block 350 starter would go. This is the LS starter, and it essentially does not fit in there. I mean, it does on the ground. It's supposed to bolt up like this, but this, essentially this whole left lobe and bulge needs to come off, and I'm probably just gonna lop it right here too, because this is kind of blocking the flywheel. So I'll just clear this whole left side off, probably right above that, probably right above this hole, so I still have two bolts holding on this side. So I'll probably just kind of yeet that off. And then we should be able to have the dust cover and the starter. So I just don't like the way it looks without it. And I'll probably whiz off some of this, because this little bulge right here likes to run into that transmission pan. And that's just annoying. So, and my transmission is already leaking onto this. So that's nice, but that'll be a project for another day. So yeah, that's what we're gonna work on. Also, fun little tip about these angle grinders. Always lose the little 4-dot wrench or 2-dot wrench thing to pull these off. You don't really need it. My friend Jacob taught me this. You can just lock it and then use the wheel, and then the whole thing loosens like that. Ta-da. And then when you have, you know, whatever other wheel you're putting on, or new wheel, just kind of screw it on like normal, lock it. There we go. And then you can just kind of tighten down the wheel like that. That's tight. That's not going to fall off. I've never had one fall off doing that. Nice little quick tip if you've lost your grinder wrench. And there we have it. Hopefully that's sufficient. I have a terrible habit of, I mean, this isn't really that crucial of a part, so I'm not really that worried about it. But I'm really bad at measuring at all or drawing something out. I just kind of do stuff. It bites me sometimes, but sometimes it works out. So we'll see how this goes. So this is just test fit in there with one bolt partially in there. I probably need to do a little bit more grinding to get this to fit a little bit better. I just remember that it took me like a little bit more than I wanted to even get the bolt holes to line up. So I may have to do some trimming elsewhere, but at least for the starter's case, this is pretty close. So hopefully you can see this, but this now goes right snug in there. The bolt holes seem to line up pretty good, so yeah, I think we're pretty well squared up as far as the starter goes. I'll probably take this off and clean up some of the edges a little bit more, but otherwise we should be good as far as that goes. So we'll take a little bit more finagling to get this to fit perfectly. The starter part fit good, but this thing, I remember last time I had to use a jack to get it up there for some reason. So I actually trimmed out where it goes up around essentially the crank, because I think there's a little part of the block of the LS that juts out that was binding it up a little bit. So I trimmed that off. I just test fit it, And if it's great now, where I have the ability to just get the bolts in without having extra tension on it. So that's perfect. So this is pretty much the final product, I think. I don't actually have starter bolts, so I can't bolt that in and confirm the test fit. But I'm gonna get this thing bolted back up for now, now that it's a lot easier to get in and out. And then that'll be it for tonight. Here's the final product installed. Looks way better than just having the torque converter flapping around out there. This looks way better in my opinion. Makes me feel like it will be completed. You know, it looks complete rather than like this gaping hole up into the transmission. So pretty happy with it. So this seems like kind of a irrelevant piece of this project, but right now budget's been a little tight, so this is something I could do, you know, that made progress, positive progress. Should be able to order some parts here soon, mainly fuel system things. That's part of the hang up. Is one of the next big projects is going to be dropping the fuel tank, the old fuel tank, getting a new baffled one from an 87 model. You can still buy them brand new. So I'm just gonna get a new tank and a new pump and hanger and all that jazz and fuel hoses and all that stuff. But I don't have the parts yet. So this was something I really wanted to make sure got fit on there correctly. Just because, again, I think it looks way better, way more complete at the end of the day. And I didn't have to spend any money to get, you know, the aftermarket steel one that could have bolted right on as a dust shield. I already had this one, so chopping it up a little bit, no big deal to me. And it looks really good for my purposes, I suppose. But yeah, that's the project for today. The next one, I'm hoping to make it to the junkyard here pretty soon to grab a couple parts. Mainly, I've got this stuff in the way, but I need the fuel crossover that goes from this side to the other side, fuel rail. And of course it's a discontinued part. So I'll check junkyard. Junkyard usually has a million of these motors in there, so I should be able to snag one. I also realized I did actually already order one of these tensioners, so got that on. I may need to grab one bolt because these were just random bolts that two of them fit really good, one of them's in me. But yeah, I need to get a couple bolts. I need starter bolts. As you saw earlier, I don't have any starter bolts, so I just need to grab a couple bolts there. And then I need a throttle body. I don't know what this is, if this is idle control or TPS, or because this is throttle position sensor, so I don't know exactly what this sensor is, but this throttle body from the junkyard did not have it, so I need to grab that, maybe a couple little odds and ends to kind of complete some of this stuff on the engine, but otherwise, you know, that I'm hoping to make a little video about my junkyard run, because junkyard's always fun. So that should be what's coming next. It's been absolutely beautiful here in Colorado Springs, considering it's March. Usually we're back and forth between snow and rain and all sorts of cold whatever. It's been like 80, which is ridiculous. It's cooler tonight. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But yeah, look forward to that junkyard video, or you know, some other content, maybe just fiddling around on stuff with the truck. So hope you like it. As always, like, comment, share this video if you think it's funny, cool, helpful, or just something entertaining to spend your time on. I do appreciate anybody who watches any amount of time of me fiddling with this project. It really means a lot to me, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. We'll see ya.